today we have a bunch of very cool Toronto startups and people representing the AI community in Toronto here to talk about some of the cool things that they're working on. And yeah, just stay seated. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. It's a global community of following the latest kind of tech AI-related events that are happening. My name is Vineet. Mindstone CEO Joshua Bull from UK, GMT time. He's kind of set this up. Today we have a bunch of speakers, starting from Rahel, who are going to talk about some of the cool AI projects that they're working on. We also have Stacy, who's also here, who's helping out really well. There she is, everyone. Just give a round of applause to Stacy. She's managing everything under the hood, right? To make this event as smooth, as fun and as involved and for everyone as possible, as interactive as well. As for today's schedule, we have Rahel, then Himanshu, and then we have David after, who's going to be giving us talks. And then afterwards, we want to see if we have a bunch of time to actually, interact with each other, see what everyone's up to, see if there are any cool new AI features or projects that you're working on. And this is all it's about, right? It's about the community in Toronto and see how we can kind of be a part of like the global stage of working in AI. A little bit about myself. I am working at, so basically I run the company GoodWords. What we do is we target mid-market companies, typically around Toronto, North America, and we help launch an internal custom GPT that's connected to a company's private data. What we typically aim on is making sure that the data and the sources that we're working on is secure for people to access. It allows people to get insights. It allows people to save a bunch of time when you're working in knowledge-oriented roles such as software engineering, product development, sales, customer service, and in the past, companies used to have a lot of issues with understanding what is the spec around the product I'm building, or why is this customer really angry at this feature not working? And now, with something like GoodWords, you're typically able to solve these issues within seconds. So that's a little bit about me, and then I'm also going to have, Stacy's also going to come up on stage a little bit later on. But without further ado, I just want to get started at this event, just so that we're on time. We have Rahel. He's going to be talking about Fluent Future. So give it up for Rahel.
So my name is Rahel Granada, and I'm presenting an application called Fluent Future. And so it is a language learning application for newcomers to Canada. And before I get started, I just want to thank Mindstone for organizing this event, and also to Akshay for introducing me to them, and also for setting this up. And I want to also give a bit of backstory about Fluent Future and why we're making a language learning application. So it all started a few months ago when I met my co-founder, Guled Salvan. And he and I have a lot of immigrant friends who are moving to Canada. And we noticed that there are a lot of issues they face when they came to Canada, such as language learning and also the job industry. So we thought we could find a way to address these issues. So one of the public resources that are available for newcomers is classes offered by the YMCA, but they don't often meet the needs for most newcomers. For example, they can't sit in a class for 3 hours. They can't sit in a class of 40 people and expect to improve their beginner level English. So that's the problem that we're trying to address here. And AI is a perfect fit for that because we have an endlessly patient teacher who can take you through the beginner level steps of English. So we're focusing on 3 primary features to jumpstart people. And that is pronunciation analysis, role-play scenarios, and a live AI tutor. We can get started, I suppose. So this is the Fluent Future app, and I can sign in with our email. And actually, this is supposed to, okay, here it goes. So I'm going to choose French for our native language. And I just want to preface and say that sometimes I might mispronounce some words or use some incorrect English, and don't worry, I'm not having a stroke. It's all part of the plan to show you the application. And for this next section here, we can put in our interests, so they can be personal, and also our job aspirations. So I'm going to choose photography and also software engineering. And this is what's going to be used to personalize the content that we can practice on later. So I'll just complete the setup, and now we're ready to get started. So first things first, we got to take a pronunciation assessment because we got to gauge what level of pronunciation we're at. So here we're going to see letters, words, and sentences covering a wide range of sounds that are in the English language. So I'll just go ahead and start with this. L. Oops. L. R. V. And then I'm going to skip ahead to a few words maybe. And I'll pronounce this word as diary. So there I mispronounced diary as diary, and we're going to see why that's going to be helpful later. I'll skip through the rest of these until we get to some sentences, and I'll pronounce this one. Measure the right with care. And then we can go ahead and finish up. So we can take a look at our results now, and we can compare how I pronounce the word. Which the audio is unfortunately not coming through, but it normally does come through, and you'll hear me say deary. And then we can compare it to how a native speaker would sound. Okay, I suppose the audio is not working at all, unfortunately. Oh, is it? Alright, I guess we're going to have to really listen in there. Diary. And then how I pronounce it. So I can hear how I can improve my pronunciation. And we also do sentences as well. This is, so it identified that I had mispronounced the word light, and I said right instead. And I can see a phoneme breakdown of that word, so I can identify what are the gaps in my pronunciation. So here I received a score of 0 for the phoneme L. And we're going to see why that's important in a second. So while all that was happening, it was generating modules for me to practice. So here in the top section, we have modules to practice everyday English. And if you go through all these modules, you will be ready for conversational English. The next sections are our interests. So I put in photography and software engineering. I can see and practice vocabulary that's unique and appropriate for my level of pronunciation. So we see some modules for those. And also I see vocabulary to practice in my areas of weaknesses. So for example, because I mispronounced the L sound, I get practice in the words, or with content to practice the L sound. And this will also be related to your interests. So let's go ahead and try one of the modules, and let's try photography number 3. So it's going to be a bit harder than number 1 and number 2. And after I finish this module, I should see other modules which give me more specialized words in this interest. Photograph. Picture. And if I'm curious about what a word actually is, I can always just generate an image of it, or I can just look at the definition, which brings us to our next feature, which is the role play section. So in this, you can practice situations for example, ordering pizza, asking for directions, or maybe even reporting a crime. And for native speakers, it's easy to just go out and have a conversation, but for newcomers, these situations can be really almost life-threatening. Essentially, this gives them a safe space to practice these. So the content that gets generated is also dependent on something called your CLE score, which is your Canadian language benchmark. And those are a set of functional requirements that give you that essentially determine what level the content that you're going to see is. And as you do more pronunciation, you'll see more content appropriate to your level. So, for example, I guess we'll try this one.
How's the app development going?
So this
What's
is
the latest update?
So this is a voice-to-voice scenario, and essentially you just have a conversation where your goal is to try and complete the task. The project is going well, but of course, Jim here pushed another PR that broke everything. So actually, I should use some broken English there, but I guess.
Oh no, that's not good. What part broke?
He did everything.
I think he changed something about the login part. Now it's not working right.
And then afterwards, we can end the conversation, or the AI will also end the conversation themselves, and you're going to see feedback on your responses that you did on how you can improve and make it better. In addition to that, you also get scores, which are going to adjust the scenarios that you're going to see in the future. So some students, they'll like this practice where they can practice in these situations where there's not really any big deal, but sometimes people want to actually have an all-knowing tutor that can help them. And while they're doing their work, they can get advice and ask questions whenever they want to. So that brings us to our third feature, which is the live AI tutor. And this one hasn't been released to our beta testers just yet, so it's in a strange place. But essentially, you have a live tutor, and her name is Sarah. And while you're doing exercises and worksheets, she can give you feedback and advise you on how you can improve. So, not sure why the exercise is not loading. So she's creating the exercise right now, and she should have made it 4, I suppose. Oh, and unfortunately we got an error. Curse of the devil. Okay, so I guess we got this exercise, which is a role play conversation. So we can also just talk to Sarah if we want live as well. Hey Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to meet you. I'm Sarah, and I'm going to be your English tutor today. How are you doing?
So she could basically just talk to us, and oops, I forgot it's recording. Let me turn off live conversation.
That's right.
Perfect. So we'll just go ahead and start the exercise. So it looks like she's made us booking a restaurant, and I'm the waiter in this case.
Hi, I'd like to book a table for 2 for dinner tonight.
And then it will ask me to record something. What line would you like to reserve?
How about 7 p.m.?
Cool. And sometimes Sarah will comment if you make a mistake. I guess in this case she did not comment. But if I guess there it is.
It looks like you're doing great.
Yes. So she tells us that we did a great job on the word hi.
Perfect. Remember the L sound comes first. Try saying L slowly and see if that helps. For time, the T sound in the middle is important.
So there she was able to identify that we said time incorrectly. So you can continuously do these exercises and ask whatever questions you want of Sarah, and she can always give you guidance, and you basically continuously do these exercises until you improve your English, and eventually you will be good at English. So yeah, I think we're coming to an end of the time now. Sarah and I could keep on doing exercises, but maybe that's not a good idea. Yeah, so just to close, this is Fluent Future, and we're currently in closed beta, and we're looking to launch in a couple of months. We are continuously improving the application, and we're also looking for collaborators. So if you're interested in talking to us, you can email us at info@fluentfuture.ca, Yeah, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening.
About fluid future, health, AI.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. I have one comment and two questions. So I really like the overall look and feel of this app. Wondering if there is a tutorial as well for new learners. Number one, they're new to the country. If there is a tutorial for them to know how to use this application, that will be very helpful for them. So is there?
Yes, yeah, so at the moment, no, but yes, that is on our plan. Because some newcomers, they come to Canada and they don't actually speak a word of English, so they need explicit guidance on how to use it. So we ask for your native language right at the start, and the instructions that will be provided in that native language. In addition, you can also highlight any text on the page, on the application, and translate it or explain it, which I forgot to show, but that will show it in your native language as well.
Okay, so two simple questions from the development side. How long did it take you to make this application?
Yeah, so my co-founder and I, we met about 4 months ago, and I made an MVP in like a month, and then we started doing some serious development in about 2.5 months, 3 months.
And the final question, what AI API are you specifically using, if that's not a secret?
Yeah, so we're using Grok and fine-tuned versions of OpenAI.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else have any questions?
Again, very interesting. What's the interface? Does this run as an app on a laptop or on your phone, or is it just a website? That sounds more different.
Yeah, so it's a progressive web app, so you can use it on your phone as well as an application, and in the future, we can package that up and put it on the App Store as well. So it's everything.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions regarding this presentation, or any general questions as well? Yeah, sure.
Hello, good night. I only have one question, and it is regarding, for example, are you thinking in divided like in elementary, middle, and advanced progression or something like that? Because basically, apparently, it's only like artificial intelligence looking for correct your answers and questions, right? But if you are not know nothing about, for example, pronunciation, because pronunciation is one thing, right? But the rules of the syntaxis is other thing. So that they will also give you like a path in order to cover all the areas.
Yes, so yeah, pronunciation is one thing. With role play scenarios as well. And also with the live tutor, so she constructs a language profile for you as you do exercises. So perhaps some of your weaknesses might be with grammar or syntax, so she will give you and create exercises for you to cover those. As for advanced progressions, like going beyond beginners, we're just starting out with so beginners to start off with, because that's the majority of people who are coming in who do these public service programs and who need access to those services. But yeah, eventually we want to make the level much higher.
Okay, thank you.
Right, I think, yeah, that's all for the questions. Thanks for asking those interesting questions. Also, just give it up again for Rohel. Next, kind of speaking, he has a talk around AI again. Before I talk a little bit about Himanshu, I think one thing I took away from Fluent Future is I'd say that one of the biggest kind of pushes and verticals that this new field has a wave in is this word called multimodal. I'd say multimodal is before, I think when the internet revolution kind of happened around 2000 to 2010, and we started getting SaaS applications 2010 to 2020, now, and then we have this new AI revolution. I think one of the biggest changes that are happening is initially everything was based on text, and we have textual data going from different regions, different kind of verticals. Now we have not just text, but we have audio, we have visual. So just with a show of hands, how many people have seen the the OpenAI demo with where the person either on YouTube where he makes them sing, he makes the AI sing, he makes the AI talk in a funny way, just by putting your hands up. Cool. All right. So yeah, I think this is a good indication that things are moving really fast. I mean, I just saw a few people put their hands up, but the point with multimodal kind of AI communication is that it makes things more human, more personalized, and that's what we want to focus on. So it's not just that you might have to learn computers, you might have to learn typing, you might have to learn these programming languages. Now, the computer is creating a whole other stack on top of these languages and these modalities for you to just talk in simple English or in your simple language, and it's going to be able to understand. So that's where we're headed. Next up, we have Himanshu. I'm going to be using this because I promise you he's achieved a lot. He's globally recognized kind of an AI expert and also a keynote speaker. He's an applied AI leader at a top AI institute. He's an MIT Sloan alumnus. And then, he's also a doctoral candidate in emerging technology, such as, AI. And, he's mentored a bunch of different startups, right? And he focuses on deep tech, which is like, the underlying layers, such as LLMs, any kind of machine learning models, like if you've kind of come across Hugging Face, that kind of thing. And he's known as the AI commander on LinkedIn, and he's a Gartner top voice in AI. So this guy's gonna, he's gonna give us a lot of cool insights around AI technologies that are happening right now. So just please give it up for Himanshu.
Thanks, Nick, for those kind words. So, good evening, everyone. And I know we started a bit late, but intention over here is that before we get on to the networking, I just wanted to ask a few questions to you and bring some aspects which would align all of us to use the cool products, something what was demonstrated a while back. I'm sure a lot of you are already using AI in your day-to-day work. And without going to the Mentimeter, if anyone could indicate how do you feel about AI? How many of you feel excited about it? Nice. How many of you are curious? Amazing, yeah. We should always be curious because yes, curiosity is something which will lead us to better things in life. And anybody who's a little nervous, a little doubtful, yes, that's also true because there are some aspects of AI which should make us nervous, which should make us doubtful. Then only we will be able to bring those guardrails which will make sure that the AI is used in a safe, ethical and responsible manner. So in the next few minutes, let's dive into how best can we leverage this technology to transform ourselves, our personal lives, our professional lives, as well as whatever we intend to achieve in terms of our productivity, creativity. So let's see how best we can use this technology. And when we talk to leaders, we talk to practitioners like you all, they have different things on their mind about AI, how they can leverage it. One of the topmost concern is how do they themselves upskill. So I was speaking to one of our fellow colleagues here who's here right now. They have been software developer for the last many years. And now they're pivoting their career to become an AI expert. But there are a lot of other people who are domain experts in their respective field. There are doctors, there are engineers, there are architects who are leveraging AI for doing their day-to-day activities. So it's very interesting, but there are concerns which we need to address. So how many of you identify this person? She is very, very famous. She is the godmother of AI. Yes, please. Anybody would like to name her? Yeah, she is Dr. Fifi Lee. She is a professor at Stanford. Lot of AI which we use today in our day-to-day life is all thanks to her. So she is the real godmother of AI, and she is the one who runs a lot of programs which would guide not only the President of the US and other lawmakers across the globe, but also K-12 students how they can leverage AI in a responsible and ethical manner. But what does she has to say about AI? And I would like to bring your attention to this. It's very important that why all of us should focus on upskilling, learning a bit of how AI can help us in doing what we do. Perhaps it can increase our productivity, it can increase our creativity. So let's see how we can actually take it forward. And this might be appearing a little distressed or a little stressful, but this is something which we have navigated previously also. I'm sure in this particular hall there are people who have gone through the .com age, who have seen the mobile smartphone revolution, and we have kind of navigated through that. A lot of us have changed our profession, a lot of us have changed our path of career, so I think it's something which is doable as we have done it all our lives. How AI is different from what happened in other technologies. So I'm sure you must have heard of something called general purpose technology. So what you see on the screen are certain general purpose technologies which have transformed how human beings have evolved over a period of time. It was steam, then electricity, then computers, semiconductors, internet, and now it is artificial intelligence. I would not be wrong if I say that there will be some sprinkling of AI in everything which we do, right from our mobile phones to our laptops, to our work, to our own day-to-day task which we handle. Something like how we put some salt to everything which we eat, except things which are sweet, except your coffee or tea, but there will be some sprinkling. So how much salt is to be added is something which you kind of develop a taste of. Too much of it can spoil the taste. Similarly, too much of AI may be harmful, but then you may require some sprinkling, and that calibration is something which is important, and that's why this technology is something which can be revolutionary. It has a lot of impacts in terms of how we provide personalized medication, how we address climate change, how we solve our day-to-day redundant tasks which are kind of very boring. At the same time, it has concerns which can be really detrimental to how we evolve. It took human beings almost 75 years to adopt electricity. So it's going to take some time, may not be 75 years, maybe few years, a decade or two. But yes, it's all upon us, how do we leverage it. So there are researchers who talk about something called transformative power of AI. So they compare AI in the current form with something what happened many centuries ago in terms of industrial revolution, where the GDP of the world moved up from almost 0.2 to 2% in a particular rate of growth. And there are researchers as well as there are studies which are indicating that we could utilize AI, especially generative AI and the future forms of AI, to increase the annual GDP growth to almost 20%. Last year I was part of a research which was done over here, and they were trying to find how we can increase productivity of our country, how all of us can be a little more productive. And they concluded, the researchers concluded that if we are able to leverage and adopt Gen AI, we may be able to increase the GDP of the country by 2.3% in the next couple of years. There are certain factors where AI has already attained human level performance. Again, it is human level performance, it is not human like. Please do not take me in that sense that I'm saying that AI is human like. AI cannot be human like at this stage, it is not. But few levels, like for example, certain translations, certain functions as solving some math problems, AI has attained that level. That means some of your tasks you can offload to AI, and it can perform as much as you would have done it yourself. And that time which gets freed up, you can utilize it for something more creative. But there are issues, there are problems. The current capability of AI is limited to certain pattern recognition, certain creation of text, code, images, video, which will require a human being to verify them. and add some more incentives, some more value to it, right? In addition to this, there are huge limitations in terms of how AI can be safe and responsible. There are issues of bias, there are issues of fairness, there are issues of AI not being safe and aligned to what you have created the AI for which you require human supervision, you require a human in the loop. And that is why it is suggested, and the research has also proven, that you have to have a combination of human and AI working together. So my focus of my research currently is to create augmented collective intelligence by how best we can leverage human intelligence and machines to make us do things which we always wanted to do. Let's say so many of us over here wanted to be painters, artists, actors, but you have to do something else as well because you have to pay the bills, right? So perhaps you could use AI to do a lot of your tasks which are repetitive, and you could find some time to do things which actually give you pleasure. There are people who are motivated by doing things for nature. They want to solve climate change problem, they want to solve the larger populace, to eradicate poverty or educate people. There are tools available now. And you would see, for example, a lecture which is delivered in English in UFT by a professor can be streamed live, and a school child who's there somewhere, let's say in Burkina Faso, who does not understand English, he or she can actually watch it, stream it live, understand in their language, and still assimilate what the professor is saying over there. Right? That is the ability of technology which can transform human and human race. Now coming to what is the impact on the economy, as I was mentioning earlier, this is the report from McKinsey last year. It says that Gen AI only has the potential to create value worth $2.6 to $4.3 trillion, which is equivalent to the GDP of UK, 6th largest economy in the world. So it has a lot of impact, and how does it transform our lives? Because all of us definitely will have some impact on what we do and how we do. It creates more jobs. Yes, there may be few job displacement. Essentially, all your life you have seen, you have reached such senior levels of your corporate hierarchy. You have shifted jobs, you have trained yourself, you have kind of learned new skills, and that is what is the whole requirement of us right now, to upskill ourselves and change how we see things, look at things. Essentially, there are different use cases where you can apply AI. This is one of the lists which was issued last year by McKinsey, 63 use cases against different functions, but it proves, and now we are seeing the result of it, that a lot of companies are leveraging AI to solve certain use cases which are helping them increase the productivity. By increasing the productivity, they are saving cost, and by saving cost, they are enhancing their profits and revenues. Yes, jury is still out to see how much is the ROI of Gen AI. That will be something which will get measured in the next couple of years as companies, individuals, teams start investing and start reaping the output of what they have invested in a couple of months earlier in terms of upscaling, in terms of developing new models and creating these tools. As I was talking about, there are issues in terms of ethical and responsible practices which impact all of us. There are concerns about job displacement, there are concerns about safety and privacy of AI. There is for sure algorithmic bias which AI has, which is because it is intrinsic to the data set which we use. And then there are issues regarding transparency and accountability, which are being addressed in various forums, right from regulation, from guardrails, to practices which are being put in place. But yes, it is catching up. It is not yet where it should be. It will take a couple of more years perhaps for us to put those practices in place. As it was brought out earlier, it has been observed that sooner or later, certain aspects of AI will be able to reach human potential of performance. What does that mean to us? That means that a lot of our day-to-day tasks can be done very well by these tools. It could be like automating a routine task, sending 100 emails. You don't have to actually kind of type and write 100 emails. You can have an agent which can perform this task for you. You can be in the loop, you can check the text and send it out. It was still happening, people were actually sending bulk emails, but it was still being a little more personalized. And you will see the rise of agentic AI and multimodal, what Vinny was mentioning. In the next 6 months, you will have these agents available on your phones and on your laptops through all the service providers, which will actually be able to do things the way you envisage them to be done. And it kind of takes 5 tasks off your plate for the day, right? Now comes very important, the biggest challenge right now, which has been observed by organizations, is the skill gap. Why they're not able to adopt. And this is where the opportunity lies. There is a skill gap, which all of us sitting here, that's why we are here, right? That's why we didn't go back home and like watch a movie or watch Netflix. We want to focus on that, we want to do this gap analysis and bridge this gap. And this skill gap is something which can be filled if you focus on kind of updating and upskilling yourself, and that is what my call to action would be. That we require this skill gap to be filled at various levels, right from the top senior levels of leadership to the people who are at the operations level and the people who are actually at the functional level. They all need to upskill themselves, and this is something that's moving at a very fast pace. You did a program today, by the time you graduate and you want to implement something, you want to make a product on it, 6 months from now there will be a new version of a model which will come from a competitor. So you are building something on Llama 3.2, now Mistral has released something which is much cheaper, much faster, more efficient. You will have to shift, so you have to do some kind of changes in your product. This is very important for us to align ourselves, and there will be new roles which will keep coming up. So there are few roles which perhaps didn't exist in past, but there are something which are coming up very, very fast. You will find that today's day, there are more people being hired as AI ethicists, AI governance leaders than AI engineers and data scientists. So those who are, let's say, who are interested in policy making, they have roles which can be leveraged. You don't have to be a computer engineer or a data scientist to be in AI. AI has a lot of roles which can fit your interest. So essentially, like to ride a Lamborghini right now on Blue, you do not need to be an automobile engineer or a Lamborghini engineer. You just need two things, right? Your driving license and a credit card to kind of rent it out. That is what it is actually. This is your way to get into the whole AI bandwagon, but in a way where you can actually upskill yourself, learn, explore, and continuously improve on it by deploying and building things. And like I was talking to someone a while back, each of these professionals are also upskilling themselves. They are the core fundamental roles in AI. Data scientists, they have to upskill themselves because things are evolving. There are data engineers who are kind of doing new certifications, new courses. They are getting their hands dirty with new techniques. And similarly, the last part is very interesting. Those who are from non-technical background, they could actually perhaps leverage these new developments which are happening across the globe. Again, you don't have to scan it, but how do you think you intend to kind of upskill yourself in the next 6 months? Anybody who's doing some program, some course, or who wants to kind of learn something new on their own? There are a lot of things happening online as well. Anyone who's doing it or who wants to do it? I think that's a very right call, and you will be very happy with the outcome of it. So just a very, very high level thought. I would suggest that it should be like at an organizational level, team level, as well as individually, we map what we have as our skills, and then we upskill ourselves and continuously improve ourselves so that we move ahead. And it could be that we adapt to the situation, which is evolving much faster, upskill and use it for innovation. It could be just that you, instead of asking somebody to make a website, you use something which you learned and created your own website, or you created an app for you or your family members or your friends. That's something that is possible to start with. One thing which I would say would be the bedrock of this is this part, which is generally being left out of consideration, but I would urge all of you to focus on trustworthy, responsible, and ethical AI. And there are enough literature on this, and there's still a lot of gap. Those who are interested perhaps can actually look at this as a new career option as well. Now there are various projects which are happening. So this is something which a team is doing, where they're trying to build different agents which can do anything for anyone. So let's say you are a solopreneur or you are a single leader who wants to create a project, but you don't have a project team yet. So you can use these agents which can actually do a lot of work for you, initial work which can come to you, and then you can kind of review it and then see how it can help you solve the problem which you're trying to solve. Similarly, One of the very good output of AI is AI for good. So be it education, be it fight against climate change, be it in healthcare. So I'm sure you must have heard about AlphaFold. AlphaFold. So this time Nobel Prize, two of the AI researchers, they got Nobel Prize, one for physics, Dr. Jeffrey Hinton, and another colleague of his. And the person who has been the CEO of Google DeepMind, and they have created a particular application which is called Google AlphaFold, which has solved a problem called protein folding problem, which has been a problem for the last 60 years. People have been researching on it, and it was estimated if it was left to human to continue to solve the problem, it would have taken almost 1 billion plus years of PhD time. And now with this particular solution, you could predict the protein folding and you could have personalized medication for those unfortunate humans who have some genetic challenges. So that is the transformative power of AI, that we can have personalized medication being delivered to cure our ailments much faster and more effectively, right? I have one call to action, so I just wanted to draw your attention to this. So as human beings, we can do a lot of things, right? All of us have done it in the past. We have friends, we have family members who have been doing things more than what they are traditionally being kind of branded as doing, right? So there are chefs who are good musicians also, there are musicians who are good mountaineers also, there are bicyclists who are like also good software developers. So with this, I would urge and quote another very famous AI teacher is Professor Andrew Ng. And he's the one who's the man behind Google Brain, Baidu Brain, and he has a lot of incentives for educating people about AI. Professor at Stanford as well. He says, I'm sure there are a lot of people over here who are multilingual, so please add one more language to your plethora of knowledge, and it could be Python. And right now it's very easy to run Python because you have a lot of AI tools which can actually help you code, and that brings in a lot of experience and confidence in you. I know there are a lot of software developers here on the call in the room, but still those who are uninitiated, you may use this. And the idea is to actually connect the dots between a solution and a problem through all of you. So, and everybody is important actually. AI requires multidisciplinary teams, not only data scientists and AI engineers, but also subject matter experts, AI ethicists, human rights experts, legal teams. So it's everybody's is important and it's required. And you will find that these roles coming up very frequently in different job postings very soon. And if I can be of any help and you would like to continue the conversation, this is my LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. I'd be happy to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Himanshu. That was fantastic. I also want to point out that Vector Institute released a really great piece of research alongside the conference board, right? And I encourage you to look it up as well. It's basically around AI literacy in Canada, and they go deep into that. So definitely recommend that you read that as well. I think it's really well thought out, and it's thought-provoking. I'm going to jump in and be selfish and ask you the first question. By the way, nice to see you guys. My name is Stacy. I'm with Vinny and helping organize this event. Himanshu, I listened to a really thought-provoking podcast interview. I don't know if you guys listened to Hard Fork. It's a really great tech podcast, very entertaining. They had an interview with, it was the AGI, the ex-AGI readiness advisor at OpenAI. And if you've been following OpenAI, there has been an exodus of senior leadership there. And what I found interesting and actually quite scary about what he had to say was they start talking about early retirement, right? And you said there's so many, I'm doing upskilling, I'm in the marketing world, I'm upskilling as fast as I can, right? But what are your thoughts on AGI, superintelligence, or however we want to word it? And they're saying, some are saying it's within 2 years. What are your thoughts on some of them actually saying there might be early retirement for many people that aren't prepared yet?
So very interesting question again. Like you said, it's divided opinion. So AGI, superintelligence, is something which is also known as human level intelligence. As I was mentioning earlier, these models may feel human-like. The response that you get from ChatGPT may feel human-like, but it is not. I'll give you an example. For example, for this particular evening, I was asked to send a small brief, a bio. So I thought, why should I kind of write it? So let me ask ChatGPT. So I just plugged my LinkedIn profile and asked to create a 100-word bio. It created a bio which sounded very much like me, but it actually created some factual errors. It made me CEO of a company which might not exist. It also added few things which I never did in my life. But if it was, for example, Vinny, who does not know me, he would take it as the gospel truth. So there is a problem. Though, because humans interact with language and we find these language models to be very human-like, we assume that they have reached that level. They have not. Few of the, as a human being, we do a lot of things. How do you calibrate a human being? Remember, like school, high school, then university, we have so many exams to write. We have done so much. Language was only one part of it, right? You did accounting, you did finance, you did maths, you did science, right? So there are a lot of other things. And then there are researchers who are divided on this because AGI is far from being achieved yet, right? People may keep making announcements for whatever reason, but if you speak to, for example, Professor Jan Lepul, who's the other person who got Turing Award along with Dr. Jeffrey Hinton and Josh from NGO, who's also the Chief AI Officer of Meta, he is very clear, and I would like to quote him. He says that right now, the models which we have, they are very, very limited in their intelligence because only language based. If you remember our childhood, or if anyone has a child at home, a 3 to 4 year old child who does not speak or does not speak full sentences still has a lot of good understanding of word around them. It is by vision, by hearing, by orientation, right? So there are a lot of other senses to a human level intelligence than just by language. But yes, because we communicate with language and 1 minute of conversation can communicate a lot of emotions and a lot of sentiments, that's why we find it very, very human-like, right? So it is far from being achieved for sure because mathematically and scientifically it is not yet there. Few of the benchmarks might have been met, but that is not like, you will not let me graduate from UFT if I just score 80 out of 100 in literature and I have 0 in maths and physics and chemistry and other subjects, right? I have to score. It may happen, efforts are in place, but then to what level? It is something again very, very subjective. So it is far from being better. Second question is about how we transform ourselves. So it happened, again, when electricity was adopted, people thought that they will leave, they will have to lose their job, right? But there were more jobs created after the revolution, industrial revolution and induction of electricity. It took some time. People also said that do not induct motor cars, because if those who travel in motor cars or in trains, because of wind, people may fall sick and they may die early, right? We should continue to have horses and horse carts. But we still ride horses. The horses are still available. We have not let go of them. We still ride bikes. We still ride cars and trains. So there is I think, a synergy between what existed and how things are. But yes, we have to evolve. Like we evolved over a period of time when the .com revolution took place. A lot of things moved from brick and mortar to websites and then mobile. So that is what is the best characteristic of human race. Like we evolve. And this particular technology is asking us to do that. So that's why I encourage us to kind of pivot in our direction where we want to pivot. Yes, there will be job displacements. I think that is something which is, I'm sure there are a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs there who if they can get the work done instead of 10 people, by 4 people, they would like to do that because they don't have space. That's how the business works, right? But still, you can actually reorient the roles and then have other things being achieved. So it's possible, but yes, it's a debatable issue. But I'm still a very, very optimist propagator of the idea that we can actually do a lot with this when we are able to put those guardrails which I mentioned earlier. Because there are nuances to it.
Great, thank you. So you're basically saying that I should not be worried about early retirement.
For sure, I think so. There are lots of
Upskill yourself.
I'm upskilling, but this podcast scared me, guys. Like, here you got like the ex-AGI readiness guy. But I agree with you. But it is a hot topic right now, right? Like, when is AGI going to be to affect us. And I'm just doing a quick time check on questions. We can do a question. Does anybody have a question for Himanshu? No? Oh, I'm going to come to you with this. You got it? Okay.
My friend, for instance, who is a math college, but he's inspiring artists. For instance, he does a concept art from media pages for fun. He says, I don't know if I'm truthful, but he says he's really worried, for instance, about the fact that AI can basically make these new photographs, for instance, that would kind of really take a job of like maybe a concept artist or an artist in a plan or photography or let's say making a game or really concept art or something like that.
Yeah. There is a lot of evolution in terms of the generative models which is generating images, and like your friend says, that's the fact. Over the last 6 months, you will see the kind of quality of images which are being generated. They're becoming very real life because they've been able to tackle there were certain problems in terms of, let's say you would have seen sometimes the features are not very, very accurate, not very human-like, there's shadow issues, gradient issues. The models have evolved because they've been trained accordingly. That being said, I think still there would be a synergy where the creativity of the human photographer or artist that could leverage these tools. And so something would happen 30 years back in terms of digital photography. If you remember, I mean, this is again a lesson from failure of innovation. So if anybody can tell me which was the first company to make a digital camera. Kodak was the first company, but they never marketed it, right? Because their leadership said that no, we are into films, we are into paper, and we will continue to do that. This looks very cute, but keep it aside. And that was the cause that now city of Rochester has only parks, but no industry, right? Because they collapsed. So the point is that if they would have evolved and they would have kind of brought it out, in addition to what they were bringing in, they could have actually merged the latest technology with their offerings. So over here also, as creative human beings, whatever is coming to us, I think if we can leverage that to create, because a lot of work was not happening, let's say, before the Adobe Photoshop and digital photography came, people would do a lot of work by hand. They will develop everything in the dark room. But still, they evolved. Those studios evolved to make digital photography as mainstream, and we have those brilliant photographs across. Like a lot of our childhood is with those digital photographs, right? Now it's on a mobile phone. So I think if we cannot evolve with changing times, that's the problem. And there the answer lies that how your friend can actually leverage this. Midjourney and other tools which are available, phenomenal number of tools which are Flux is another example, and perhaps change their strategic positioning and the photographer, the creator of those great artifacts which they create. I think that could be the way forward for them.
Cool. Thank you, Himanshu.
I can come to you. I think you are there.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have like a networking event. Stacey,
Yeah, there's one person that wanted to ask one question quickly. Do we have 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
All right.
Thank you. My question for you is regarding your comment about how AI can only analyze text today. Can you explain that a bit more?
No. AI can analyze text, images, a lot of it. But what we are right now interfacing is maximum conversation about AGI is based on what comes out of the large language model or multimodal models. That is a very limited bandwidth of how a human perceives the world around, right? For example, if you see a lot of experiments of Boston Dynamic, robotics has been in vogue for the last 30-35 years. Only now they're trying to put some amount of connection with large language models to understand the world around. But understanding the world around the machine has been a problem because they do not understand the way humans understand. Because there are a lot of other factors, right? For example, anybody who's a scuba diver or a para jumper or a skydiver, right? Anybody who has been in a third dimension you will find that it's a different kind of sense when you are in underwater or even air, right? And that sense is a human sense, or it could be with pets, it could be with the bird. But machines are going there, and they're not yet reached to that level of perfection of understanding things around. There are models which are being trained now. So that is what my point was, that because it's only language based on which people are saying that they have attained AGI, it may be little short of that level of general intelligence, which is human level intelligence, because human understanding is beyond language. So many times I may not speak your language, but I can still have a very good connection with you. I can help you, you can help me, right? It happens, right? So a lot of things which are visual, right? You don't speak to a pedestrian who's crossing, but you still understand it. They are crossing, so you wait in your car, you don't kind of cut across. So
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So thank you, Himanshu. Just a quick round of applause. I guess since you part Alpha Fold, I hope they end up kind of open sourcing it at least, or some part of it, so we can kind of accelerate that end as well. But yeah, thanks a lot, Himanshu. Cool. I think one of the questions that we typically ask before David, our next speaker, kind of joins us, and then we'll break for pizza. I just want to add basically that, so at GoodWords, we installed the A/B testing process just to see how teams are performing when they're using the product, when they're not using the product, that kind of thing. And then interestingly, what ended up happening was the teams that were using the product, it's basically like, we were basically connecting ChatGPT to all these different tools, internal knowledge basically that the team has, right? And the teams that were using the product, they were getting almost, for every 3 to 5 people, they were getting an acceleration of 1 extra engineer. So they would create the output of 1 extra engineer, or if the sales team was using it, they would create the output of 1 extra salesperson, kind of processing, talking with different accounts and everything. So I think the point here is that when you start to integrate it in a team, and when you start to kind of attach your personal context and your personal data, your company knowledge that you have, as Himanshu said, I think it adds leverage, and you can actually do more and you can perform more. It's hard to see that future where how you're going to be performing more and how that's going to fit into the whole ecosystem and the whole economy. But then again, you've got to kind of stop training horses and training to sit on horses once the cars came around, right? So, and then you have to kind of stop, making this. You're okay with making mistakes on keyboards once typewriters were out of fashion. So, it's going to be a different economy. It's going to take time for people to kind of digest. But on the plus side, I personally believe there's a lot of problems to be solved, and with using these new technical verticals, we can kind of get there easier. There's more personalization. Himanshu, right? You mentioned that people can use it better. You don't have to learn all these nitty-gritty languages, that kind of thing as well. So hopefully, we're all, as the gentleman here said, we're all upskilling ourselves, and maybe we'll get more time for being on the golf course, right, Stacey?
I know.
All right, so next up, we have David Lee. He's a senior software engineer at U.com. He's on the monetization and enterprise team, and he's going to talk a little bit about, he's going to give a presentation. He's also a computer science and business graduate from the University of Waterloo. So give it up for David Lee. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to jump in before David talks. U.com is a partner for this evening, so thank them, the company, do check them out afterwards. So thank you, David. Thank you, U.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm David. I am a senior software engineer here at U.com. And, I drove 2 hours from Waterloo, so I'm very excited to give you guys this talk. Maybe a quick show of hands, how many people here have heard of U.com before? Oh, wow. For most of you guys who haven't, that's why I'm here. I'm going to introduce you guys to some of the cutting edge features we've been building lately. So, just a quick background on U.com. We are a AI productivity engine that's designed to answer complex questions and also help automate workflows, make you and your business much more productive. So a little bit of background, we were founded by 2 Stanford AI researchers back in about 2020. And we were originally founded as a personalized search engine. This was before ChatGPT, before OpenAI, GPT-3. These are 2 researchers who had worked previously at Salesforce and at Stanford and wanted to leverage AI for search. They wanted to take on Google. And then in 2022, after ChatGPT came out, we became the first company to connect AI models to the internet. Now today, there's a lot of cutting edge features. Obviously, the industry has moved pretty fast since then. I'm very excited to show some of these tools. Cool. So here's some new features. There's advanced source controls, which will be used to curate your search sources for faster and more accurate and relevant results. We've also enabled 50 megabyte file uploads just to have a deeper breadth of search, and also enable some large corpuses of data to be uploaded and searched and answered upon. And finally, we have the agent library, which is a feature we recently just released that I worked on, which allows you to share, save, and discover custom AI agents similar to GPTs built by you.com, your team, and the community. So without further ado, let's get into the demo here. Let's see if this works. I haven't pulled up on the other side for this one. Cool. This. So when you log on to you.com, you'll notice that there's this primary feature here, which is all of our agents. Now these agents are pre-built by us, and there's several different categories: marketing, sales, engineering. You get the point. We're especially good at enabling engineers, marketers, and salespeople to get their complex, repetitive tasks done quickly. So you can actually build your own agent. This is one of the most powerful features we have right now. So when you build your agent, you'll notice that you can create a new custom agent, name your agent, and give it a description. This is pretty similar to what OpenAI does with GPTs, but we take it a step further. So you'll notice that you can choose your base model of the agent, which you can choose from a pretty wide array of models here. We have your classic GPTs, GPT-4o Mini, GPT-4o, also Claude, which people have a preference for as well. And if you're a fan of open source, there's Llama. And if you want a model that is potentially uncensored, we have this. So for the purposes of this demo, I will use platform outside. And you'll notice here you can prompt your agent to do a multitude of different things. And this is, for us, this is kind of table stakes. But what makes this a very powerful feature is our advanced source management control. So here we're going to notice that you're able to manage your sources. So I can drop files and upload them. In this case, I will select this washing machine manual and this finish. And then the AI will be able to use that as in its context to answer and these without. You can also control the web access, which this goes back to our origins as a search engine. We have web scale data, web scale product. And what this means is that when you enable web access, we'll access the web for information relevant to your query. So this is doing a good job combining the best of both worlds here, right? You're getting access to the latest models, and you're also getting access to the latest web data that we grow. So normally people turn this on automatic, but if you're a real power user, and this is what I'm going to show you how to configure today, you would use advanced. So you have search depth. Quick search, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to scan kind of like the pre-populated information you have for every web page and generate the answer based on that. If you choose deep search, it's actually going to browse the full web page content. So it's going to do like 10, 15 Google searches for you, right? And look at all the content in the actual web page, and then use that content to formulate an answer. And this is extremely helpful when you're doing deep research on maybe like a due diligence for some private equity deal, or you're looking for publications from a particular website. And if you do dynamic, we're going to decide for you. If we think your query, if you just search up Amazon, you probably want to go to Amazon.com. But if you search up the history of Amazon and how it revolutionized the e-commerce industry, we're going to go a bit deeper and pull in some more research for you there. Another pretty powerful feature that we've added is the ability to add a custom web source. So what this means is that you can add, for instance, if you just want CNN for news for election coverage, you can add CNN. And then if you want you.com to search web for other websites, you can leave this toggle on. If you would prefer to have you.com not search any other website and just be looking at CNN.com, you can flip it off. And this works for pretty much any website you can think of. You can add multiple here. For instance, this documentation site for something I was working on earlier. You can add in sources from publications, scholarly website. A lot of our users use like NIH, so they'll put NIH here and just search upon that. And then if there's sources you don't like, you can exclude them here as well. So cases that you think might be helpful for other people to use, you can share it and they can access it easily. If you are using .com in a team, then you can share agents with other people on your team and the organization to enable them to be more productive. So I have a couple of agents here. One of these is for our fantasy football league to help people know what those are. But the one I'm going to be demoing today is going to be the Cypress Expert. So this is a custom agent I made, which has web access and sources. So if you look at here, in manage sources, I have it turned on so it does deep search, and it only uses the documentation site for the library that I want to use. So let's go check with it. Cool. Put this back for a sec so I can type. So, like I mentioned earlier, there's like a pretty persistent issue with hallucinations in AI. For instance, he mentioned that he was using AI, ChatGPT, to generate his profile. It kind of made some stuff up, which is not super cool. In our case, because we have the custom sources specified, and we know exactly which website we want to pull our sources from, it really minimizes the amount of hallucinations. For instance, here, this is actually like very correct because it pulls directly from the documentation of the website. So you can imagine for more advanced use cases where accuracy is super important, or the data you're looking for is a little bit hard to find just from a general search. Using advanced source controls is quite powerful. So this is like a good example for engineering. However, there's a couple more, and if you just go on .com or on the homepage, you'll see these custom agents that we've pre-built for you, that we've curated for marketing, sales, product, data analysis, finance, and so forth. So for marketing, you have this brand voice agent here. And this is going to write content aligned to your brand voice. And what can make this even more powerful is if you have, for instance, a brand guideline that your brand team has put together, you can add it as a source here. To save some time, I've already done that. And this is using the brand voice agent with the .com brand book attached to it as a custom source. So you'll notice that it actually writes everything. It cites the brand values that we want to represent in the post, and it writes it according to the tone of voice that our brand values we want. For sales, we have an agent as well. So we have a couple of here, sales emailer, meeting summarizer, company profiler. I think our company profiler is actually quite powerful. How many people here work in sales? Show of hands. Okay, cool. So you guys, when you're doing outbound work, where you're looking at people that you're meeting with, selling to, you kind of want a good idea of what they do, what their background is, what the company's background is too, right? So this uses our advanced deep research technology, which crawls a lot for all the relevant data you can possibly ever want. And it's going to find key information for you about the company. So if I hit Airbnb, give this a, it's going to tell you, general information about the company, your business information, financial information, and so forth. And if you want more details, you can obviously ask it, and they'll go looking there for you. And yeah, so here we have kind of like the full power of custom agents and with advanced source controls. So if you're someone who's looking up, up-level your daily, work routines, or make yourself more efficient and productive at work, or whatever else you do in life, you should really consider checking out your .com using our custom agents with advanced source controls. It's a really easy and intuitive way to get access to some of the most accurate and relevant AI results on the internet. I can, later on, I don't think we have time for this, but later on, if you guys come up to me, I can show you guys some research actually that's been done recently that shows that we pretty much lead Search GPT, Perplexity, and Bing in accuracy and the number of citations we generate. So a lot of powerful things going on behind the scenes there. And yeah, I'm going to open up the floor to questions now. Let's just bring back the slides. We do have some new things that are coming up. It's like a simplified query bar, clarifying questions, which is kind of where the AI acts like a thought partner with you and kind of facilitates a two-way discussion of ideas there, and also enables you to have more clarity on what you're searching. And then also advanced research that we're using, which is like having a PhD in topic pretty much. So thanks for listening. We have a 25% off an annual .com Pro Plan promo code here if you'd like to scan that. That's like 3 months off. And there's also a custom agents white paper, which will go into more detail about how sales and marketing use custom agents in their professional lives. Thank you.
Questions for you, David? I saw that then I'm gonna come to you, okay?
Hi David. I use Cozy a lot.
Sorry?
Cozy. So the balance product, Cozy. C-O-Z.
The Binance product?
Yeah, that's similar like this.
No, I haven't used Micro.
I mean, I use that one a lot. Compared to that one, I'm not sure if you have ever did the comparison and what can be the difference or what can be the features this product has. So,
Yeah.
Sorry, second question, can I have a free trial?
Great question. So, yeah, come by me later, we can talk about the Binance product. I would have to look at it, I'm not too familiar with it. In terms of free trials, if you guys want to wait, I think there's like a pretty good chance we'll probably run some sort of promotion for Black Friday, so there's that as well.
Thanks.
Have you now, and then you. Other people raise their hands.
Hi, so currently we are using Microsoft's Copilot Studio at work, right? Developing a bunch of assistants based on the roles. So let's say if I were to talk to my leader tomorrow and talk about you.com, what should I tell them? And what are the differences and similarities, and why should we be considering or switching to you.com?
Right, that's a great question. So, when people ask us about, why .com, why not ChatGPT, why not Microsoft Copilot, right? And I think the number one answer is what are you trying to accomplish? If you are doing work that requires a high attention to detail, high rates of accuracy, and you're doing AI work that is supposed to help improve your productivity, but you don't want to supervise it and double check everything for correctness, you should be using .com. Again, I'll show you the studies later. There are actually studies that were not paid for by us at all, conducted were show that .com by far had better result rates for accuracy and citations, which is, for those that aren't too aware about what citations are, they're basically like the data or the knowledge that your LLM is going to use to formulate its answer. Like we have some of the highest recall rates on citations, which means we use the most actual data to base our evidence upon.
My question for you is I use ChatGPT as custom agents, and to be honest, the functionality seems almost one-to-one, with uploading files and, even more refining it. And then especially, I get that your search functionality is a little better, but obviously, with Perplexity and all these, they're also really good.
Yeah.
So what would you say your biggest selling point is that makes people move from just, paying for a profile on GPT, creating custom agents, or going to
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I think it's similar to your question, right? Where if you're looking at ChatGPT, they only just recently launched the search feature, and frankly, it's a nice feature, but it doesn't compare to the years of experience we've had doing internet scale, searching. I would say that probably, if you're not really thinking about using like web scale searching or advanced data control or source control, there's not too much that differentiates us because we do, use the same models everyone else does. One factor that we do have going first is that we have access to models from Anthropic, from Meta, from OpenAI, from a bunch of open source values that you won't really have access to if you were just going with, for instance, ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, right? So there's like the breadth of tools that you can choose, and we've just really, left it in the hands of users in that feature to control exactly how they want their agents to function.
Thank you. So, quick question: do you guys have API access to your platform, and is that included in part of your regular fee, or is that additional?
Great question. Doing the selling that we haven't asked, but so we do have API access. It's not included in our normal plan, mainly because it's really enterprises, that have hundreds of thousands to millions of query volume looking for us for API access. But the short answer is yes, we do. If you're interested in that, talk to me.
And also, when you said it goes deeper, do you control how many layers deeper it goes when you're looking at
If you're talking, so like by layers deeper, do you mean like visiting the website and then like clicking on the links to that website, that kind of thing, or?
I assume when it searches for deeper things, it just goes down more into the site.
Oh yeah, that as well. So there's more sources being taken into account. But let's say, let's use Perplexity as an example here. When you're doing web search with them, traditionally it's like they basically grab the 10 Google results, right? And how in Google there's the preview of what the site's about. It's like a paragraph. It doesn't really tell you exactly what's on there fully. Like a lot of services will use just that little snippet of text to give you an answer, that's not good. So when you're going deeper, it actually means like going to the website, finding all the data, reading all of it, however much data there is there, and then using that to drive and formulate an answer.
So do you guys end up caching the details?
Yeah, sometimes for like performance reasons, but it depends again on like the type of query and what sources are being used.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry?
Does the API return citations?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I know there's a bunch of other questions. We just kind of a little bit short on time. I just want to wrap it up so that you guys can have that open floor for meeting people, networking, that kind of thing. So just a round of applause for David from U.com.